So, our time together today is going to be dedicated to making sure that you have a plan for the beginning weeks of school, and that plan includes a lesson in Newsela, an assignment ready to go. So, your questions and your thoughts really ought to drive the conversation here today. So, if you've attended other workshops this back to school season, and I notice a lot of familiar names, so I know this is true for a number of you, expect that my talk track, my presentation of these 45 minutes will be a shorter portion than other workshops. So you're going to have time to work, to collaborate, to ask questions. I encourage you to take to the chat to do so. But I want to make sure that your plan includes opportunities for using Luna to differentiate faster, more effectively, and for more students. So I'm going to kick us off today by demonstrating what Luna can do to help ensure that students have adequate opportunities to practice grade level work with the appropriate scaffolding to make sure that they're successful, and show you how Luna can help facilitate that as quickly as possible. And at the end of our time together, you should have a lesson ready to go for your first few weeks of school. All right, the Jersey Shore's in the house too. Good morning. All right, the first thing that we're going to explore in our time together today is the Luna Lesson Planner. This lesson planner is built into articles on Newsela, and it will generate a completely custom, standards-aligned lesson plan with just a couple inputs. You're going to need to start on an individual article, so this won't be present on a text set or a video, but if you are on one single article, you ought to see the Luna Lesson Planner between the image and title of the text and the body. I'll show you this live in just a moment. But once you've found that, all you'll need to do is include a learning objective. In other words, what do you want your students to practice or to be able to do? You get to select up to 3 standards. You'll decide whether you want to include project ideas and supports for multilingual students, and we are absolutely going to do that today. And lastly, you determine how much time you'd like the lesson to take. Let's take a look at an article that can help us, again, beat the heat with ideas backed by science. A great article for this time of year, and this is a great article as well for some of our upper elementary, middle school students. Came from Science News Explorers originally. And as I mentioned, the Luna Lesson Planner is available beneath the image and the sourcing information, but above the body of the text. You can see it right here. Some additional Luna practice opportunities will be the first thing that you see. We've got brand new for this school year, fluency practice activities. Check those out, and we'll have time for you to do so. But let's keep our attention focused now on the lesson planner. So here I have my lesson planner, and you've got my space. Just checking out Kara's suggestions there in the chat. Absolutely a great idea. And in fact, I'll go ahead and share a link directly to this article. So if you want to follow along side by side and try these things with me, go ahead and do so. I'm going to include a lesson objective that I have prepared. Again, this is an article about ways that we can use scientific understanding to stay cool in the summer. So I'm going to want my students to evaluate the claims that the author is making in this text. That's my objective. I'm going to keep it quite broad now. You can see it's not specific to the article itself, and that's okay, because as you'll see in a few moments, Luna will do some of that lifting itself. Now, I'm going to click Add Standards here, and I'm going to include a standard related to evaluating claims and arguments, and add that to my lesson plan. Now, as I mentioned, I want project ideas, I want supports for multilingual learners, and I'm going to say that this is going to be a 45-minute lesson. So I have all of the things that I need here. I have the text, and again, it does have to be an article, one single article. I've got my learning objective, I've added at least one standard, and I've asked for the supporting materials and told Luna it ought to take 45 minutes. So I'm going to click Generate Lesson Plan. Hey, good morning. And it is going to get to work providing me with a customized lesson plan that incorporates the contents of this article, the standard that I've identified, and the objective that I have articulated. And you can see here that it has beefed it up quite a bit. Now, the lesson plan will give me a set of reading instructions. I can copy and paste these right into my instructions field in the assignment builder, so I have something ready to go. I will, of course, want to look these over and make sure that they do align to my articulated objective and expectations for the day, for my students, etc. But now I've got a set of ideas and a lesson breakdown, projects because I've asked for them, as well as supports for multilingual students. These will always include sentence frames that help students practice the objective at hand. And I want to encourage you to try this out on your own and to also take a look at these activity ideas and the portions of the lesson breakdown and to consider a number of questions. I'm going to pose 3 of them here that I think might be really helpful for thinking about differentiating with this lesson and these materials. One of those questions is this: which of these suggested activity ideas is going to be best for supporting students that have not yet experienced a lot of success with reading or with my class or with this particular objective or standard? Let me zoom in here a bit so you can see them. So as I evaluate these suggestions, that's one of the lenses that I'm going to apply here. Second might be, which one of these suggested activity ideas might be a great extension opportunity for students that are ready for above grade level work or additional responsibility? And third, which one of these might be best for helping to engage a student that's been reluctant in the past, either because they don't see the relevance in what they're doing, in what this topic offers, or because potentially they're not the most social or extroverted learner, or vice versa. Maybe those are the circumstances in which they thrive. So which one of these ideas might be best for that specific student or that group of student? And don't forget these project ideas and supports in the lesson plan as well. These can give you great fodder for thinking about how you implement this with your students. So now I'm going to pose a question to the group. I'd love to see some thoughts in the chat. Take a moment now. Think back to previous years. What are some of the standards or objectives that you've struggled to plan around in the past? So let's reflect on that for a moment. I've got our question here. What are some of the things that have been tough to plan around in the past? And if you feel brave enough this morning to do so, I'll encourage you to take to the chat and let us know. While you're thinking, while you're typing, I'll share an important note here on using the Luna lesson planner. I alluded to this a little earlier, but I'm going to expound upon that just a bit. If you have found yourself in your Newsela searching in a text set or a collection or something labeled an instructional set or a bundle, you won't see Luna and the Luna lesson planner until you click into an individual article. It's only on individual articles where you will find the Luna lesson planner right now. There are some unique exceptions to that rule as well. So articles with a really lengthy word count, I'm talking like 2,000 words plus, they may not have the Luna lesson planner. Don't expect to find it on videos, and some infographics as well may not contain the Luna lesson planner. But the vast, vast, vast majority of articles will have the Luna lesson planner to help support your planning and differentiation. Seeing some really nice ideas here. Thank you so much for sharing. Those of you who are putting it into the chat, I see CER writing coming up a couple of different times. Textual evidence, all of these really important, and all of these can be implemented or input into the Luna lesson planner. So I'll encourage you to play around in our time together today with the objectives field on an article and see what suggestions Luna can give you. But we're not done yet, because I want to show you another way that Luna can help support all students in accomplishing your objectives, reaching the standards, and doing so at grade level with complex grade level text with research-backed scaffolds facilitated by Luna. The good news here is that on nearly every article, you have a differentiation checklist at your fingertips. So even if you are on an article that might leave students feeling a touch overwhelmed because of its reading level, because of the complexity of its content, know that you have these built-in supports to help make sure that students have what they need to continue to engage in productive struggle. We're going to look at checks for understanding, the read aloud feature, subject-specific vocabulary definitions, as well as a paragraph-by-paragraph text translator tool available on most articles in Newsela. Let's go ahead and check this out live. We're going to pop back over to our article on beating the heat. For now, I am going to hide our Luna lesson plan here, and we'll take a look at the body of the text. The first thing that I want to show us is that there are checks for understanding built in to help slow our students down and require them to process the chunk of text that preceded this short recall question. Now, these are our most used feature on Newsela by a long shot the last time that I checked, and it's no surprise why. But these are not only great accountability measures for students, ensuring that they don't just breeze through an article without stopping to consider its meaning, but these are also a great scaffold for helping students think metacognitively and get into the habit of slowing down and considering what they've read before they continue on. A skill that successful readers do. So checks for understanding, look for them in the body of the text. And if you want to see how they look to a student, just toggle the View as Student button on to see how they require us to stop and demonstrate some level of understanding before being able to move on. The next feature I want to point out, which is available on articles and can help us hold students accountable to reading at grade level, is this read aloud feature, or the listen button as it is here. If I click this in either English, or if I have toggled this article into Spanish, the read aloud feature will allow me, the student, to listen to the text out loud. I can even modify the speed at which it is read. And there are lots of great studies that demonstrate the impact that this can have on students, especially students who have reading disabilities, dyslexia, and attention deficits. Next, we're going to look at these subject-specific vocabulary terms that are underlined, bolded, defined, and available for read aloud in the body of the text. These help support students in understanding the definitions of words that are important to comprehension within this text so that we can hold them accountable to using them in their discussions and in their writing about the text and its topics. And this article, like many others on Newsela, can be translated paragraph by paragraph by students into more than 40 languages, 23 of those with available read aloud functionality as well. So for students that are learning English as a new language, consider keeping this option available so that students can see the English with a translation into their first language, with the ability to listen directly beneath that paragraph. You'll notice that the English does not disappear, but we've given them the scaffold of the first language support, ensuring the accountability here that they can read at grade level with the supports that we've mentioned. So I'm going to pause here again. We just covered a number of supports facilitated by Luna. So these are available simply by checking or unchecking boxes. This is not laborious time spent during your prep. These are all available at the article level. Which of these feels most exciting to you, or where feels like it will be most helpful for you as we plan for this upcoming school year? Take to the chat and let us know. Ooh, Mauricio, really excited about the multiple language. Not surprised. That is a game-changing feature there. Checks for understanding coming up too. The vocab support, excellent. So all of them getting some love here. Now, we've covered quite a bit today. We're right at about the halfway point, which means that it's your turn to jump in here. Let's review our objectives for the day. So far, we've covered how to use Luna to differentiate texts, and there are lessons on Newsela by taking advantage of the Luna lesson planner and the built-in functionality that exists at the article level. Let's take one more look here at assigning the text so that we can make sure that we have a plan that includes an assignment for the first few weeks of school. And then I'm going to open the chat for questions, collaboration, opportunities for you to work and be proud of the work that you have done. But let's round things out here by completing the loop and creating an assignment or a draft of an assignment if we don't yet have our rosters, which if you're here on the East Coast, may be the case. So on any article, I'm going to click Assign in the upper right-hand corner for an additional set of options. Now, we've discussed what Luna can do in its scaffolding of the text to help support students. Let's look at how we can use our assignment settings and options to ensure that each student gets the right amount of support, not too little and not too much. So there are a number of things that we can do at the article level that will allow us, at the assignment level, I should say, that will allow us to make sure that students get the right scaffolding. The first option that we have is the reading level and whether or not students can change the reading level. So feel free to use this space to modify the way that this assignment will reach students. We can also, and I'm scrolling down here to an additional set of options, we can determine whether or not students can listen to the article or take advantage of the read aloud functionality I just covered. We can turn off the ability for students to change the article's language from English to Spanish, or the ability to translate each paragraph. I can also disable any of the Luna-defined vocabulary supports within the text. So by taking advantage of these options, I can control the level of scaffolding that students get at the class or at the small group level. So I can make these decisions for subsets of students within any one of my classes so that each student, again, gets what they need. Not too much, not too little. So use a combination of your settings that relates to the scaffolds available at the article level and the level of the text and the ability to switch between levels to make sure that each student gets the right level of support. My last step is to create an assignment or save it as a draft so it's ready to go later. And that's exactly what I will turn to you now to allow for. So at this time, our last objective for the day is developing your plan for the first few weeks of school. So I want you to weigh in here, take to the chat, share your questions, your thoughts, your comments. You can even share templates of assignments that you've created. But this is your time. We've got about 20 minutes now for you to be in the driver's seat and to share with me what your thoughts are about using Luna to differentiate and to do so faster, more effectively, and for more students. So I'm going to turn things over to you and keep my eyes on the chat as you take to Newsela to get ready for your assignment. So we've got Illinois in the house, Pennsylvania, bunch in New Jersey. Thanks for joining us. Suzanne gravitating towards the World Cup article. Excellent. And if you've got specific questions about what else Luna can do or what else is available in Newsela, please take this opportunity to ask. You've got a very supportive and knowledgeable group here. I'm joined by some of the folks here at Newsela who've got lots to share and would be happy to do so. So let us know how we can help. A couple of questions and thoughts coming into the chat. I'll take the moment to address. There was a question about adding both ELA and science or other content area standards. My understanding is that that ought to be possible. So we're going to follow up on that, Caitlin, to see what might be the blocker and what might be causing the experience that you're having. So we will look into that and we will try to get back to you and make sure that we are looking into a solution. As my understanding is that that ought to be possible, and I've seen examples of that working. So apologies if that's been your experience this morning. And thanks for your patience as we get that sorted out for you. Another question came in about whether or not Luna can create quizzes from the articles using Google form. And while Luna doesn't directly integrate with Google, I will encourage you to consider attending our next session starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. It is on using Formative and using Luna within Formative, which is an option, another option on all Newsela articles. So I'm back to my article here on beating the summer heat. And I'll just show you that on the right-hand side in the assignment builder, the very last option at the bottom is the chance to modify this article's activities in Formative. By doing so, you pull this article into Formative and can take advantage of Luna within Formative, which does allow for many different question types, the creation of um, additional questions, questions of a different nature, questions that get at understanding in different ways. And Luna can be brought to bear on that. The AI integration can facilitate, I believe, what you're looking for, which would also aggregate data on student understanding in a way that would be similar to what a Google form might option, but would be housed within Formative. So if you've never checked out Formative, or if you're excited, curious about learning more, at 10 a.m. Eastern, so half an hour from now, I will be leading a session on that specific topic. So we'll look forward to seeing you there if you've got the chance to join. question about adding classes. Um, it is quite easy. So whether you are adding by rostering through another provider, say Google Classroom or Clever, ClassLink, or if you are creating classes from scratch and inviting students to join, it is a very simple process. You can access your initials or your settings, I should say, by clicking your initials and then accessing your class directory. And from this space, you will be able to add a new class, which would generate a class code or a link to invite students. Or if you've signed in through Google, Clever, Canvas, ClassLink, Schoology, there will be an option to sync your rosters with those providers, eliminating the need for students to enter a class code or use a different link. This is a way of skipping that step and getting all of your students and rosters together in one place by taking advantage of the work you've already done or that your tech director has already done in your Google, Canvas, Clever, etc. workspaces. So I'll share a link directly to your classes page if this is the step that you want to take care of today to make sure that you've got your classes set up for the assignments that you're creating for the beginning of the school year. And I believe it's Kara has some great resources, including videos that are there to help support that process as well. And I see that there was a question or a comment about attending the cross-curricular writing session later. I believe that session has already happened, but if you registered for it and were unable to attend, you will receive the recording. So fear not, that will be available to you. I will also point out, I'm going to return to our article here on making sure that, again, we stay cool. I will point out that above our formative option is a link that we can use to access Newsela Writing. It is another instance of using Luna to help support cross-curricular writing opportunities as well as literacies for students. This link will, if you subscribe to Newsela Writing, allow you to create a writing assignment that gets students writing about the topic side by side with a space to write about the topic. And it provides students with on-demand Luna-generated feedback tied to the rubrics that you select. We import and upload rubrics from across the country, those that matter to you, so that you can get students engaged in the writing process with feedback that helps them improve. And it is not bottlenecked by you and your time. So they can get feedback as often as they like. So if you do subscribe to Newsela Writing, you can take advantage of this on any article simply by clicking the Newsela Writing button down at the very bottom of the assignment builder on any article you might find yourself in. Or from the homepage in Newsela, check out the Start Writing option. You'll see Luna there. It is available both at the upper right-hand side of your screen or underneath the grid, or some people have said it looks like a waffle. Personally, I don't see the waffle piece there, but I think I'm in the minority on that one. In the upper left-hand corner, next to the Newsela icon, is a space for you to find your Newsela writing opportunities as well as formative. We've alluded to both in our time together today. We have offered sessions on using both throughout this back-to-school workshop series. And check out the recordings if you registered but were unable to attend.